everybody, it's Lori. How are you? I'm baking again. Happy Friday. So I am going to make honey oatmeal bread again. Since it came out so fabulous yesterday, I'm going to get my dough made early this morning so it's risen by the time this afternoon comes around, because I promised my daughter a loaf tomorrow. Throw and go kind of thing. If you're hopping on, say hi. Hi Rosie, how are you? And so here we go. So this is a honey oatmeal loaf. It's not gluten-free, guys, and yes, you need yeast for this one. But it's excellent. It's probably one of the better breads I've ever made. So you're going to start off with, I'm actually going to double the batch, but I'm going to have to do 2 singles because my mixer just can't handle it. I need my girlfriend Jennifer's mixer. She's got the nice big mixer. I really need to get a commercial mixer in this house because, I do a lot of baking, obviously. So it's 3 cups of high, like I have very high quality flour. You can use just, all-purpose flour, AP flour. I'm not going to say brands, but, so 3 cups. You also, and you don't have to wait, and you can just throw all your ingredients together in this one, which is great. So it makes it just life easier. And then 2 tablespoons of butter. I use salted butter. So, I don't really measure, but, about that much in there. And yes, you need all these ingredients to make this particular bread. Just yummy, yummy. In fact, I hope there's some left so I can have a piece of toast after this. Coffee time, too. So then you also need a cup of oats, old-fashioned oats, not the quick cooking oats. So you need a cup of oats, the old-fashioned. Chuck it in there. And you also need a pinch of salt. Got all my ingredients here. Again, I don't measure, just, a pinch. Yeah, that's a pinch. And I had to loosen my honey jar before because, oh my gosh. So I buy local honey. I buy it in a large size because we go through it. And plus local honey is just so much better. So this honey, even though I clean the rim every time I use it, it's very hard to open. And I was struggling this morning trying to pre-open my jar so I wouldn't be out live opening it. I must have tried for 20 minutes trying to get the jar open, and I just used it yesterday. Hey, Eliana, how are you? So right now I'm making my honey oatmeal bread, if you haven't figured that out by now. And I'm measuring, well, not really measuring. I'm just taking big globs of tablespoons of this local honey, which I don't have very much of. I really, it's just a small amount. And I promised you, Eliana, that I would make this today. So this is for you. Love you. So anyway, large jar of honey. This is, I think, a 2-pound jar. I'm not quite sure. It is, 5 pounds. 5 pounds of honey. And I will go through it because, I use it in my tea. I use it in a lot of things. I use it when I make my elderberry syrup, which we've been going through a lot of lately because of all this craziness. And let's see what else. What else do I need? I did the salt, I did the butter. Oh, yeast. Yeast would help. So, I know a lot of people don't have yeast right now. I was like on the yeast hunt for the longest time. So about 2 teaspoons of instant yeast. And that's about it for that in my handy dandy. But yeah, now I have yeast, which I'm super happy about. And then you need a 1.5 cups of lukewarm milk. You could use water. I think milk tends to make it a little bit, and I'm going to make a huge mess here. Because of course I tried, and I did make a huge mess. I tried to, I didn't have another container big enough. I don't like heating things in plastic. So, another glass container. So pouring it into my measuring cup is a little crazy. So about 1.25 cups of lukewarm milk. So that's just, they're there. Wow, I think I need more coffee. It's going to get a little noisy here, and of course my phone decides to change at the same time. So I apologize for the noise, but this has got to mix up now. So you're going to let it mix for about 5 to 7 minutes in your mixer. I'm not going to keep it on for the length of time I'll be on this video. Let it mix while I clean up my mess. Oh my gosh, I guess I did make a mess. Dumped milk everywhere. Yep. That's why I'm just a messy baker. Messy cook, messy baker. So let it go 5 to 7 minutes until it starts to pull away from the side of the bowl. Do not be tempted to add more flour if it looks sticky. Please don't, because that'll make the bread really dry. And lukewarm milk or water, whichever you decide to use. And it's going to get a little louder, so sorry. I have to turn it up because now it's starting to. I just heat it up until it just feels like it's about 85 degrees. Get that? Yes, I know. I should get that cloth out. I don't know. I just got my rag. Don't tell Jennifer. I don't think she's on. I'm still waiting for my order. Anyway, I just completely lost track of that. Oh, milk. Some milk or water, about 80-85 degrees. Now, if you can put your finger in it very carefully. Oh, Jennifer West is watching. Okay. No, Jen, I didn't have my cloth out. I don't want to say the brand, but yeah. That's so flippin' hysterical. Cheers. Now, I'm drinking coffee right now, not wine. With my very long, crazy hair. Well, Leanna, I've got my stuff on. It covers pretty nicely, huh? Anyway, now I'm waiting for it to take 20 years off me, and I'll be good. 20 years and 30 pounds. Hey, Doreen, how are you? We're having a little bit of fun on my behalf this morning because I'm dumping milk and making a huge mess. So anyway, my first batch of oatmeal bread is almost done mixing up, and then I'm going to do a second batch. I could have tried putting it all in this one mixer, and Jen, I use your mixer, by the way, the big one, so, when you're bored of it, just, throw it my way. Well, don't throw it my way. You can just drive it over and I'll drive it for me because I need a bigger mixer. And I apologize for the crazy noise. My mixer is struggling to make my bread here. And I have to let it mix, but I'm going to shut it off right now. So sorry. Yes, loud and obnoxious this morning. So I hope everybody's having a great morning. And I'm oiling. So if you're wondering what else I'm doing. So I took a little olive oil and you grease your bowl that you're going to put your dough in. Lightly grease it. That helps it to not stick to the side of the bowl so much, and it just rises really nice. You would think it wouldn't rise with a little bit of grease in the bowl, that it would just keep on sliding down, but it rises beautifully. Yeah, I'm already in it bright and early, Doreen, always. I'm an early riser, and I got myself all set up with all my stuff, and yeah, here I am. So your bread dough, when it's all done mixing, of course, I'm going to be careful. It comes out quite sticky. So this one dough will make a loaf. So I just kind of pat it and then drop it into your bowl. And then I do take plastic wrap, or if you don't want to use plastic wrap, you can use a towel, but I tend to use plastic wrap because it keeps it nice and moist. And just lightly grease the inside of the plastic wrap and cover the bowl and let it rise for at least... My kitchen's pretty cold, so I have to let it rise for probably a couple of hours. You can put it in an oven turned off with just the light on, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing. That'll let it rise a lot faster. Hey, Mike, how are you? But other than that, let it rise. Then you take it out, and then on a greased surface for this particular bread, so not a floured surface, a greased surface, because you don't want to add more flour to it because it will make it very dry. You fold it. So you pat it out, in like a square. Pat it out, not flat, just, pat it. Kind of like, size of an envelope, piece of paper, 8 by 11, something like that. And then you fold it, press with the palm of your hand. Wow, got to see my man hand. And no, I don't have man hands, but I always make that comment. Flip it over, fold it. Do it like 3 or 4 times, maybe 5, maybe 6, depending on, whatever. Make sure you're pressing the seams in, and then form it into like a loaf. Put the seams down and put it in a lightly greased loaf pan. Cover it again, let it rise again for like another hour, hour and a half until, you know, it's probably about an inch above the lip of the loaf pan that you put it in. And then you bake it at 350. 350? I'm trying to remember if it's 350 or 400. I have to peek because I can't remember now my recipe. Of course, I don't remember. 350, I was right. See, go with your first instinct. Bake it 350 for about 40 minutes until it's hollow. Oh, I completely forgot. Before you bake it, brush it with like a tablespoon of egg white and water mixed together. Beat that together and then brush it over the top of the bread, the risen bread, and sprinkle some more of your oats over the top. And then you are going to bake it for 40 minutes. And Doreen, I would love to start a bakery. And yes, I would love to sell my home baked goods. I don't have a commercial kitchen. So if I ever get a commercial kitchen, I would love to. It's something that I've always wanted to do. I'm actually making a second loaf right now. Second round right here. So if you want to stick on and have some more coffee with me, I'm going to throw together another quick loaf. Because I'm going to see my daughter briefly tomorrow. We're running up to Massachusetts, and she wants to see me for Mother's Day, even though it's the day early, which is great. Of course, it's, you know, long distance viewing, which is sad, but at least I get to see her. So I'll get to run up there tomorrow in the morning. I'm going to bring her... Oh, definitely bring your mixer. I would love to have that mixer. I just so jelly of your mixer. That's just something that I've always wanted. So anyway, I did have quite a bit of training, if you're ever wondering, over the years. I mean, I was in the food service business for, my gosh, hospitality for over 20 years. I went to the Culinary Institute up in Hyde Park, New York. For bread baking, actually. But if I taught you that way, you would probably most people would be like so put off, because it was all measurements. It was all pounds and ounces. None of this cup stuff, even though cups relates to ounces. You had to actually take like a scale. You were measuring like exact amounts. But we made, and you know me, I'm not a measurer. So, that was kind of difficult. That was probably the hardest part for me up there. It wasn't learning how to bake it. It was just all the measuring and all the preciseness that you had to deal with just in general. But it was beautiful up there. I loved it up there. It was a great time. I have not been on that campus probably now in, oh gosh, it's got to be about 25, 30 years. Yeah, about that. If you ever get a chance to go up there. So it's Hyde Park, New York. So it's probably about a 2-hour drive from where we are here in Connecticut, or where I am at least. It's a pretty drive. You drive all the back roads. If you get a chance, but you got to make reservations. Well, now who knows with everything going on. But you have to make, normally, in normal circumstances, you have to make reservations about 6 months in advance to go to any of their restaurants. And I've eaten at their French restaurant, which was fabulous, and I've eaten at their American restaurant, which was also fabulous. They have like, well, they used to have about 5 different restaurants that all the students work at there, and running the entire place, running every inch of that restaurant, from, you know, cooking to maitre d' to waitering to bartending, the whole deal. It's an amazing place. Definitely try to go if you get a chance. As I'm talking, I got to make sure I put all my ingredients in here, and I can't remember if I did. I think, oh, I forgot my salt. And anyway, so I went there. Hi, Rhonda, how are you? Rhonda, by the way, I am going to try soon. I found a gluten-free sourdough recipe, so that has no yeast. I'm sorry, not gluten-free, yeast-free. So I am going to definitely be baking that in the next, sorry, my phone keeps on tipping. I look like I've been drinking. Hi, Kathy. How are you? But as soon as because I think it takes about 2 days to make it. So it's definitely an involved recipe. But yeah, no, lady people, I have not been drinking. My phone just does not want to stay in the right position today. Oh my gosh, this is hysterical. So I gotta mess around with it. Okay, no, I'm tipsy. What are you gonna do? Hey Tracy. So I'm making a second batch, so I'm sorry if you can't overhear my, yeah, I'm gonna just throw this stand out. This is making me very upset this morning. It usually holds my phone really well. But of course I've got my phone on charge, so it just wants to, got better? Hopefully it stays now. Making a second batch of my honey oatmeal bread that I had made and posted a picture of yesterday. Oh, you use your bread machine? I used to have a bread machine, Kathy. I wasn't a fan. I used it a lot for mixing, but this does the exact same thing. So this machine that I'm using, this KitchenAid, is old. Gosh, this thing is probably, well, I was actually telling my friend Jennifer, who was on, it's got to be well over 30 years old, if not more. I had gotten it as a gift. I do have a backup of the exact same machine, but I haven't had to, this thing is still going strong. So I haven't had to take my backup out. So you mix this until it's pulling away from the side of the bowl. Do not, if you just happen on, do not be tempted to add extra flour. Please don't. It'll make your bread really dry, and you don't want that. So I am going to let this go because I'm not going to let it go the 5 to 7 minutes it says. You know what? I do a lot of kneading, and my kneading is good enough. So you're going to also put it in a lightly oiled bowl when you're done. Throw your bread machine out. Yeah, I haven't been using a bread machine in many years, Leanna. I threw mine out probably about 5 years ago. And I did go through, and this one, you know, it's quite sticky. That's okay. Just treat it like that and you'll be good. Anyway, yeah, bread machines for some people work great. Not so much for me. I tried for years and I thought they were going to be great, but half the time the little mixer thingy in the bread after your bread baked, you had to rip that sucker out. Hey Dennis, how are you? Yeah, and you had like a huge hole in the bottom of your bread. You know, you're in there digging like a surgeon trying to get the stupid thing out. And yeah, didn't work for me, but I'm glad it works for some people. I'm definitely an old-fashioned girl when it comes to baking. And so yeah, if anybody wants to support me and find me a nice little local bakery, you know, place and give you the money to start it up, I'd be thrilled to do this. But yeah, I've always wanted to sell my my breads and stuff, and maybe someday. There's, you know, I've got lots on my list. I'm, you know, planning retreats and wine consultant, and I also work full time, and I have a life. Actually, those are my lives, which was fine. You know, my dogs are sound asleep because they're just happy laying in the sunshine this morning. And I hear we're going to get the awful S word tomorrow, and I hope that's not true. I keep on running out every night and covering all my flowers. It's ridiculous. I've been covering them every night this week because I think it's just too darn cold for them. And of course I went and spent quite a bit of money on flowers last weekend because it was beautiful. And herbs, and I don't want any of them to die. Also, as I'm speaking of herbs, so I planted probably 18 pots of herbs. And yeah, and Jen, I still have, so I had gone to the farmer's market. No, I didn't grow this. It's drying out. That's why it looks funny. I actually have to chop this up and let it dry. Fresh basil, which is, oh my gosh, love the fresh basil. I got this huge bunch of fresh basil at the farm stand last Saturday. And I was thrilled. It was like $4. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm buying that. I don't care. So I had made homemade pizza last night with homemade dough. And threw some fresh basil on, just a simple cheese and basil pizza, tomato basil. It was fabulous. Pictures are on my profile if you want to see those. So anyway, here I go, off on a tangent anywhere. If anybody wants to support me in my bakery business, I would, you know, If you got the money, I'll do the bacon. And if you put the money up, you get all your baked goods for free. What kind of deal is that? Plus you get to, talk to me every morning. I'm a morning girl. What about the local farms? Are they becoming, yes. Well, I think they've always been popular, Kathy, but I think yes, definitely. Oh, thank you, Eliana. Much more popular. They're more expensive, but you're supporting a local business. You know that it's fresh. I wore my mask on. They were being very, very good about limiting people going in. So that worked out perfect. Plus they had the huge greenhouse. So this is the one in New Hartford. Greschicks. I never say the name right. It's really close to you, Ileana, obviously. I go there quite often. I love it there. So I bought a bunch of herbs and stuff there, and then I went into their farm store, which it's small, and it was a little crazy. It was making me a little nervous. They were limiting, but it was still, it's too tight. They really probably should only let like 3 people in there at a time, and there was probably 15 people in there when we were in there last weekend. But that's where I got my basil. Bought a bunch of stuff. I mean, it's very easy to walk in there with 2 small bags or 1 big bag of produce and drop easily $80, between 60 and 80. Because I bought some heirloom tomatoes. I bought some fresh mozzarella to make a caprese salad last weekend. That's why I bought the basil. Those kinds of things. But it's better than going into the grocery stores. I've always supported the farm markets. I love them. In fact, I'm going to farm markets tomorrow. Sell my bread to them. Yeah, I know. One of the farm markets does. That's a great idea. But I still need Jennifer's mixer. Hi, Patricia. How are you? Make some pesto. Yeah, I have tried the freezing in the small ice cube trays. I tend to just dry it out when I have lots of it. It just works better. Oh, that's true. Maybe Barton Farms would do it too. I'll have to ask Rhonda. That's a great idea. So yeah, I need Jennifer's mixer. And I've got the, yeah. I just love to bake. Bread is my very favorite thing to bake, if you haven't figured that out. It's also my very favorite thing to eat, unfortunately. I'm a carb girl. I don't know if I'll ever get away from the carbs. I've tried the no-carb lifestyle. I was not a happy camper at all. Lost a lot of weight until I ate 1 lousy piece of bread. I swear I gained 20 pounds with 1 piece of bread. Anyway, I don't want to keep everybody on. This is lovely having a coffee chat. This is so great. I will post pictures when these breads are risen and done. I have to get them covered because I'm talking and I haven't covered them yet. Cheers. Enjoy your coffee, your tea, whatever you're drinking this morning. I hope you all have a great weekend, and love you all. I will respond to everybody's comments at the end because they're flying by, which is great. Yeah, we need to go to the warehouse supply store, Jen. I definitely want to go. And on the way back through Torrington, we're stopping at your house, so you can just like load your mixer in the back of my car, and off I'll go. You won't miss it. No, you won't. Love you guys. Bye. Have a great morning.